the
Am I allowed to be in the corner?
Yeah.
Yes.
Based.
It's like actually like a great start. Put that in the cut. Yeah, no, that's in the cut. That's in the cut. I mean, we're starting. I guess welcome back to the second episode of GleeSpeak. In person this time, not on Discord, because we got 4 incredible Spokanites that just graduated from Gonzaga that were in Glee. It's like the roommate squad.
Yeah.
It's like legit. We had like a whole like rooming situation of Gleers, and we're all here. I guess do you want to go down the couch and introduce yourselves? And who are you, and what did you just graduate from Gonzaga with, and what do you do?
My name's Taylor. I graduated degrees in history and economics. I was in choir for all 4 years, concert choir for 4, chamber for 3, and Glee for just 1 semester. But that's been my GU choir experience.
Hello, my name is Rod Gonzalez. I graduated with a degree in philosophy and economics. I didn't do any choir in high school, so I thought it'd be a good idea to do it in college. And it was amazing, and of course, like Taylor said, I only got to do Glee for that last semester. But it was a great experience, so much fun. I wish I could do it again. So.
Why philosophy and econ? That just feels like a weird. I don't know. I just always thought that was a weird combo.
I'm switched. I was originally broadcast and journalism, and I'm on the pre-law track right now.
Gotcha. So
when I was doing some research, philosophy is just like something to get used to with the reading, the writing, and the talking, and then you're supposed to do something with like good grades. So I thought econ would be great. So
Okay. So it's just easy.
the econ sort of, but the philosophy is just it's based.
Okay. And then you.
I'm Uriah.
Top last name. Top last name.
Yeah, I'm Uriah Guillory. I just graduated from Eastern with my bachelor's in urban regional planning, and I did Glee Club for like 2 months, 2.5 months, but it was honestly like really fun just being with my friends. And
Well, you'll still be here, so you might not move on yet. The
Yeah.
hope is you'll be here in the fall, assuming your master schedule lines up.
I may continue in the fall, but it was just like my friends invited me, and I did it. So,
Well, and you were gonna do it in the fall of 22 as well.
yeah.
It was just like scheduling conflicts because of your master's classes.
Yeah.
Which is why, I kind of think Glee is really cool because, yes, it's a Gonzaga affiliated class. You've never been to Gonzaga at all in your life.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't care, just walk in and like walk through the doors and sing. She didn't even care.
Yeah. I've never sang in choir before, so it's pretty much just like me, like just screaming.
You never considered yourself a singer.
Yeah.
Just did.
Looks I was a band kid, so I played saxophone like for 6 years. So that was my niche while Trevor and Taylor were the singers in high school.
Why did you feel like the transition to singing, because you had musical experience before, like how much of that musical experience carried over to Glee, out of curiosity?
I think in terms of sight reading, it was kind of easier just because I knew what the letters were, or like the letters of notes were. So I could say, oh, that's an A, or that's like I could read music, like I knew how it went and tempo and stuff like that. But in terms of how it was supposed to sound, it was like I was just kind of like trying to like listen to other people around me and trying to see how that, or tried that at first, but then towards the end I kind of started like being more confident, trying to like actually sing instead of trying to like follow. But yeah, it was cool
Good.
experience.
Well, that's one of the things that the rest of us on the couch have been singing for like numbers of years, and like knowing what like sound feels like for given pitches is something that just like comes with lots and lots of time, and you had no time. Straight up. So that's like I think something that's understandable, but the fact that you can sight read, and that's like something that's pretty impressive is, despite being a non-audition choir, we're kind of lucky at Gonzaga because the musicianship of all of the choirs, but also I was pretty impressed with Glee, is quite high. We could learn stuff pretty fast, and she really wasn't teaching. I would not say she was teaching stuff incredibly by rote. You and I are really the only ones that really did high school choir, and that was like, we were taught by rote.
It wasn't
pretty
the same.
much.
It wasn't the
and
same.
it was definitely a collegiate experience for sure, even though it was non-audition. Like there was quite a high level of sight reading and musicianship in Glee that I was highly impressed with.
Yeah, especially like the diversity of the experience among Glee made it allows you. I mean, if you're just like a person like Uriah or somebody who's coming in never sang before in your life, you can still learn at a faster pace and have a higher level because there's people who are there to help you and whatever.
Well,
you
I
need.
think what also makes Glee unique is there's a lot of people in Glee who come from non-singing but still musical backgrounds. Like Jacob Becker and Derek and Henry were all pianists before they were singers.
Mhm.
And they all are in Glee Club. They all sight read incredibly well, and they all now sing.
Mhm.
All of them phenomenally well. And so I think that there's a lot of people there's very few people in Glee that don't have any musical background, period. I feel like. Which I think is also something that's unique. And I think that that's not a requirement of Glee. I think that just happens to be the luck of the draw. That we happen to get very musically inclined people. And so that made learning music a lot easier. But something I happened to notice this year that made it really cool.
Mhm.
What is one of your guys' like either Glee Club highlights or I mean, you guys have been doing choir for a long time and mainly your time has been spent in the other choirs. What's like a highlight of choir that you guys have had the experience of doing while you were at Gonzaga?
I think we might have the same answer. So, if you want to elaborate, just do it. But we got to do a musical. There's an interdepartmental one. It was theater, dance, and music, and just everything about the musical was like, for lack of a better word, just like really perfect. Like the people who auditioned for the roles that they were auditioning for. I think all of us, yeah, exactly. The whole cast, like, with the subject that we were doing, it was a comedy and also like an experimental comedy. Like, we're coming out of the pandemic, so we were all like still kind of scrambling. So something that wasn't super serious, but definitely where it would give us the opportunity to work really hard for something to share with the GU community. Like, it's such great memories. That was the second musical I've ever done in my life. And I was like the only reason why I even did music is very much because of like the people that I got to meet because they pushed me and they made it such an awesome experience. So that like philosophy, just carried over into the only musical that I ever did in college, which was amazing. And every single part of the musical was just so perfect. It was so like I can't find words to describe how perfect. I feel like I don't think it could have gotten any better because we tried so hard.
And that was one of the things that I noticed when I went to. Well, first of all, can one of you guys explain what the musical? Are you good, Brittany? Are you good, Brittany? Okay. Can one of you guys explain what the musical was and what the plot was? Because that's very unique.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It was The Mystery of Edwin Drood. It was a musical that was popular. It was on Broadway in the West End in the early 1980s, I believe, or around there. And it's like a show within a show. It's about this group of this London theater troupe who puts on a show within our show. They put on their own musical, and it's a mystery, and it has characters who play multiple parts, and the music is really unique. I think we had a great director, Jad Davis. He really brought out a lot of the characters. The characters were unique. There's some audience participation as well. But it was a top show.
The audience participation, kind of go into detail, because that's like why the show was
it was
sick.
awesome. Yeah.
The audience participation.
So I had the privilege to play this part, who was called the chairman, and he was kind of the leader of their London theater troupe, which then put on this musical within a musical, and I basically got to talk to the audience for the entire show, narrating what was going on and kind of foreshadowing the ending. And then once Edwin Drood, the character who is supposedly murdered, goes missing, then everyone's attempting to find out, who it was, and so we get to actually put it up to a vote. And I had this big monologue where I kind of broke down every reason why each character may or may not have done it, which was easily the most fun monologue I've ever done. and then the audience actually got to vote, and we had our own troupe go out and gather votes from each individual row and kind of come back. And I mean, obviously it wasn't perfect, but they kind of told me what they were feeling. And then I also had the privilege of deciding who was the murderer. So if I felt like one person was getting a lot of votes, but they had already been voted the night before, then I maybe chose the second most person. But honestly, that didn't happen too much, and there was a good amount of like diversity in voting, which shows the different actors' choices each night. And
Yeah, the cool thing about that show is I believe it's a book based on Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Charles Dickens was the author of the book, but it was his last book that he wrote before he died, and he never finished the book, and so they don't know who the murderer was. There were, as a good murder mystery has, there were clues that led you to a lot of suspects, but he never tied in the novel to be like, this was the murderer.
so
Which
we
is
got
why
to
you
write
could have these different stories.
different endings, and we got to write stories for characters that changed every night, which was really, really fun.
Which is why I don't normally like going to see a show more than once, maybe twice, depending if the show is really good. Just because like I know the show and it's just like, it's the same people. But the cool thing with that show is I wanted to pay the money to come back. I went 3 of the 4 nights simply because I wanted to see
Thanks, man.
what the different endings were, because I was that intrigued to see all of my friends. And the other thing I noticed was there's very few times where I watch a show, and every show I've seen has been like phenomenal, but there's very few times that I look at a show and I go, my word, that show was just perfectly cast.
Yes.
And you're
That's
like,
what I was trying to
because
say.
I did theater in high school, and I was like, I wonder what role I would have played in the show. I legit don't think I would have played any role in that show. Every person was phenomenal that was in a role. It could not have gone any better. It was just stunning.
It's a great show.
The musical.
Everyone was super dedicated too. I love. Not everyone was like theater people.
Yeah.
It's only Rod's second musical, but we were able to pull it together in the face of a post-pandemic world, and also intra kind of music theater amalgam that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen all the time. But everyone was super dedicated. We had a lot of great dancers, and we had a great music directors and choreographers, so it made for a great show, I think.
Speaking of musicals, I guess as a shameless plug, if you're coming to Gonzaga or you're already at Gonzaga looking for something to get involved in musically, we are doing a repeat of, not a repeat of that show, but we are bringing back a musical in the fall. So if you're interested if you were interested in auditioning and musical theater is something that's up your alleyway, I would highly encourage you to audition. It'll be the show Spring Awakening, and the auditions will be during the first week of school. You can get more information if you come to our choir picnic, which I'm sure we'll advertise on the show as we get closer to time. As we get closer to the school year, as the school year more rapidly approaches. But we are bringing back the musical, and it's something that I know of a few people who are going to be doing it, and it's going to be as great of an experience as it was 2 years ago when you guys did it in Madrid. Are there any other choir highlights that people want to bring out?
I want to touch on Considering Matthew Shepard.
Yes.
Because
talk about that.
a lot of people may or may not know what it is, but when I was a freshman, they were in need of, Dr. Westerhouse, our old director, was kind of in need of guys for chamber choir, and so I was lucky enough to learn under some great singers in chamber choir as a freshman, and we chose to do this year-long project called Considering Matthew Shepard, which is it's a passion, but it's also a story of a boy named Matthew Shepard. You may or may not know the story. A really tragic and heart-wrenching and deep story. And we worked for almost the entire year on it, my freshman year, and then the pandemic shut it down. So pretty much most of us thought that was the end of that project that we worked so hard on, and I was really sad because it was going to be a great story, and I felt like it was a story that we had to tell. But then once we came back, we were able to pick it up again. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to, and we picked it up, and we had some professional singers come help. We had some new people who weren't in it the first year, like Rod, who got to join and pick it up in like half a semester, and it was one of my favorite experiences because the people in it were super dedicated and super touched by the story, and it's a story that I'll always be proud to have told. So
That was always something I felt for the people like Rod who joined in the semester break, because that show was supposed to be theoretically entirely memorized, and it's like
Yes.
250 to 300 pages of just raw sheet music
30
that
songs or 31
that
or something.
people like Rod had to memorize in like what 8 weeks.
It was like
it was something really
it was
fast.
less than 12 weeks, but so I didn't know what history was gonna hold for me. Inquired that I was actually considering leaving because I had so much.
What?
Fun. Yeah, it was not a big reveal, but I was actually. I'm not kidding. Like, had it not been for Dr. Westerhouse hearing my appeal, which was just an email response, because a lot of, like Taylor said, a lot of the seniors during that pandemic, there was a lot of guys also, a lot of guys parts they're leaving, they're done for their undergrad, so there was a need, and I just out of curiosity, I kind of prepared. I had low expectations, but my mindset was like, okay, if I get accepted, you need to work super, super hard. This isn't something that you just kind of sign up for and kind of go along with it. Like, yes, I had plenty of fun, especially with like the researchers that we had, and I got really intentional with music and like being present for all the pieces. But I was on a mission, and I just really wanted to see if I could do this music thing for all 4 years to the extent that I want to do it. Like, I have to do this thing 100%, so I felt like I was climbing Mount Everest after doing like 2 weeks of rock climbing, like, but I did it, and I convinced people who were around me that I was capable with no musical background of at least showing that if I really work hard at something, then I don't think I'll mess up the collective.
Yeah.
But that also, the work didn't stop there too. Like, you could say that was my shot, and I just kept going with it. I had to keep on working, and I worked harder with Darnell Preston, who's applied voice instructor, and she's a wonderful, wonderful lady. Also, I couldn't have asked for a better just teacher and counselor, because I brought up a lot of those questions. Like, I don't know, have you ever been in this position? Because she's obviously been doing music for so many years. But she says, like, yes, whenever I just don't feel passionate about music anymore, I just somehow figure out a way to make sure that I give my best effort so that I can, deliver this gift that I was given for my community. Matthew Shepard was just that was the turning point for me. Like, when we finished it, like all the work, I was like, this is it. I'm a singer. This is a part of who I am. I'm gonna keep singing. I'm gonna sound as great as I can possibly be. I'm never ever gonna not sing. So.
Yeah, I barely ever thought about how, little, like, structured singing experience you had before doing that big challenge.
It's born for it.
Okay, choir kid.
That's my turn.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you only did Glee, but like, what was like a highlight from Glee for you for the last like 3 weeks? Or tell whatever. Share us your insights.
We went on tour at the different schools around Spokane, and it was like my first time singing in front of everyone. I was just trying not to sound like actual trash, like just trying to make some good noises that. And it was the second school, and after we were done singing to the high schoolers, like two kids or two high schoolers came up to me and just like were basically hyping me up and saying how cool I was and like I was him and stuff. And it was like I've literally just joined the choir like a month before this.
Yeah.
If that.
But you made a difference,
Yeah.
like.
And it's like it was just cool to see that they don't know that. They don't know that, but it's like you can make like you don't know who's watching. Like anyone is watching, and I feel like I was just trying to blend in and not stick out. But even if you're trying to do that, people will still like see that.
Inspiring.
Yeah, inspiring. And so that was cool for me. It kind of gave me some confidence that you kind of may have a bigger impact than you realize.
Yeah.
if I've never sang before. And then I guess another cool experience was just whenever we would sing House of the Rising Sun, it was like I could really feel like the energy and like the emotion involved in it because like I used to think it was corny, like music can't be that deep, but it's like it's just a song. Like once you're actually singing the song and you're like just feeling the emotion you're putting into it, it's like dang, the song's really deep, and so it kind of brings emotions out of you. And it's like you're really feeling like, you know, I don't know. It's just like it was a sad song. It's like dang, it's a tragedy that's happened, and it was really cool to be able to sing that. It was a good song too, and I like singing that song.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Even though you look so cool, you're not too cool for music.
Yep.
You know?
If I may, there's also this also kind of go. I'm just gonna keep hyping you up more. But when we went on tour. That was more inner Spokane tour.
It was a tour.
The Glee Club. It was really a lot of fun. And one of the high schools that we went to, it very much gave historically white high school, but it's Spokane, so it's not that deep. But with the choir, there were just like two like brown boys, definitely underclassmen, because they looked like just kids from my neighborhood. And they went up to Uriah, and I believe they gave very sincere testimony that like just having him be in the choir was meant a lot to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
So
We all in the choir noticed that, including Stallman. And it was just
the
that
first
just
one
that warmed all our hearts to
like
see
right
that.
to the side,
Yeah.
and I was like, there you go.
Great story.
Donation station.
Yep. And I guess we'll probably touch on the last concert later or now or whatever.
We talked about the last concert now. What did you think of the last? Okay, great. What did you think of the last concert?
I really enjoyed it because I've had like band concerts, but like it's different with singing because one Glee, it's like kind of small choir compared to the other choirs. It felt like, well, this is a college choir, so more people were showing up. It felt more professional. And I didn't try to take it too serious just because if I were to take it too serious, I probably would have sold and like.
No, but it
got
felt like
too
our
nervous.
thing. Like it felt like
Yeah,
oh,
like-
we were a team, and
Like we like built this, and it was like I wanted to perform it good, but I also was like loose. It was like just have fun because if you try to take it too serious, then
it was fun.
yeah.
Well,
That
so
was a fun
we
concert.
touched on the podcast last week, and that's something that like I think is valuable about Glee Club is Glee Club's kind of objective is to loosen the audience a little bit. Because like we have a very good choir program that is very good at standstill, tall, luscious, big chords. The concert choir does that incredibly well. But there's not a lot of like, it's very hard for the choir. We've struggled to get outward emotions, and we've done that pretty well this year. I think Water Fountain really pushed the limit. We've had lit this year that's pushed our limits on that.
Well, that's one of Dr. Stallman's like awesome impact.
And she's done really well with that. But I think that's something that Glee, and I think it's just the nature of tenor-based music. Like that's just something that Glee naturally just does.
Yeah.
That just it brings out, and it's something that the audience doesn't realize they need because, I mean, if you're not super into choir, making it through an hour and a half long concert of just straight choir music can be tough.
Yeah.
So you need a little bit of loose. And the cool thing about Glee is you need a little bit of loose, but Glee also knew pretty well when to rein it in. Like you were talking about with Rising Sun, like we knew how to rein it in for Rising Sun. And there were other songs that we needed to like, I think rein it in more so, like Ad Astra and that kind of thing, that we did. We gave every song the loose energy that it needed to have, which I think is what I think makes the audience really like how we do our performances. Because we make it so natural.
It's also helpful when, I mean, Glee clubs are kind of the natural, like sometimes the comic relief choir, but especially when you can back it up, and not that Glee Club hasn't in the past, but just with this group's energy and this group's numbers, like when they can come out and make you laugh and then make you cry and shock you, with their music, it just makes it that much more impactful.
It's just, I think after this last year, it's really cool to see Glee's progression because Glee died because of COVID. And this is the real first, I mean, it was back last year, but this is the real first year it's been back. And it's been back with a vengeance. And this is the historic choir of Gonzaga, which is like, the fact that it came back the way it has, and the fact that it's got some potential for some really cool things. I mean, I know some things that are in the works. There's some real cool potential for where this group can go in the next year, which is really exciting to see. Other thoughts on the spring concert, maybe from another choir perspective?
No, it was just super fun.
Great concert.
That Billy Joel number. I'm being very sincere. I've had maybe, okay, hopefully this doesn't like get people upset. I probably had like 3 solos in concert in like in our co-ed ensembles, and I trust the quality of my voice. I think I deliver a decent product, but half the time
You do.
half the
Okay.
time.
Okay.
But hold on. Half the time, these solos are because I'm the only like fluent Spanish speaker.
Gotta say it.
I'm just saying. It's like sophomore year we did the Spanish Misa Criolla, and I was honored. It was because
We duetted that, by the way.
something we did do at that.
By the way.
And also I've been singing that since I was like a baby. And then, but I didn't know what it was. And then junior year,
Junior, you got nothing.
I think we did like one song.
We did Abre la Puerta in the Christmas. That was Spanish.
Oh
Day.
yeah,
But there
okay.
was
I
some
had to
solos
teach that.
for
Yeah, the no solo, but I had to help teach that. I was
Yeah.
But like back to the concert, back to the main point. Like I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you, GU. Look at the flowers fully grown and blooming, and I'm just gonna hype this thing up. And I was so comfortable, and
Yeah, and you and Taylor really hyped up that song at the end because you both had the
Really
title
cool.
solos,
It
and it
felt
was
so sick.
really, it was really cool to watch you guys do that.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
still sing
Hype.
it. I sing it to this day.
Lots of fun. No,
Just
great
break out.
concert.
No,
great,
what?
great concert. Was really happy to make it my last. It just felt like it was happy and it was sad, and it was a great way to cap off my singing career with Gonzaga. I'm very grateful.
One of my highlights is the fact that this dude, now that he's joined Glee, is just super excited about singing. So I remember your dad was in our apartment got us pizza, and we were eating pizza, and you were on FaceTime with your mom, and Uriah just walks in and he goes, alright, let's just quartet it up, and we just started singing for your dad and mom.
We had to, at this apartment, the setting of this podcast was also our commencement weekend, I don't know, party, our grad party, and we had to,
It's the balloons.
yeah, and wait for it, the Mer flag.
Hey, yo.
Oh, we'll talk about, but we straight up, who initiated, was it us or the parents or just
It was him!
Oh, Uriah, yeah, Uriah was just like, alright, let's start singing, because we have
This
all
man's
4
so
parts.
excited.
Billy Joel, and I'm like, you know what, here you go. So we did it.
It's mainly because I only had a small part and they both had solos, so I both wanted them to sing. So.
Good.
Basically, it's like, I'm hyped, but I don't have to do anything. I just
Yeah.
want to throw them under the bus kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Hey, dude, that's funny.
Yeah, I guess now you pointed it out. What is that flag? What's the significance of that
So
story?
we could see it well.
Actually, it kind of ties in because shortly after the final performance of Edwin Drood, yeah, it was a great. We went to dinner at a place downtown called Italian Kitchen, and we got there, and it was late.
What? It's Cameo Sound.
And our friend Sal, so it's the 3 of us who lived in this apartment last year, and then our great friend Sal, who's in the corner here.
You got it. He's our roommate. He's watching the podcast live.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yay!
But it was late. It was later, and so the only 2 groups in the restaurant were us and another group, and we eventually, Uriah was the one that pointed it out. It's that Murr, from Impractical Jokers, and eventually we realized it was him, and that was one of the best nights that I've had. And Merck came up directly to our table as they were leaving, because he obviously saw that we were like looking at him and talking about him the entire time. But apparently he was doing a comedy show in Spokane, and so yeah, he came up. He was a great celebrity to meet, niche celebrity.
Yeah.
That was very funny. We made a flag of it, and
Just like the best part of that is just Uriah kept on like, I was getting so annoyed how much he kept insisting that was Murr. So I'm like, okay, stop
There's
being
no
weird.
way.
Stop being weird. Like, and then I look over and I'm like, oh my gosh, he might be right.
I can literally picture the face that like the face and the tone that Uriah was using to like convey that information.
Because I saw a bald dude, like partially bald on top, and glasses. I'm like, boom. I looked at I was like, there's no, like, at first I was like, nah, it's not Murr. I was like, wait, that might be Murr. And then I was like, is that Murr over there? And then this dude's like, that's literally not him. Look over there.
No, like I said that and I never even looked.
Yeah,
That's why
literally
I'm like, it's not him. And I'm like, I'm not looking.
And like the four of us were going back and forth. Okay, who's gonna like try to ask for a
Yeah,
picture?
who was? That's the
We were going back and forth saying, okay, who's gonna ask for a picture? Who's gonna like go up to his table, interrupt his night pretty much? And he just ended up coming to us, which was the
You're all being
coolest
weird.
thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
we were trying to keep our composure, but it's hard when you got a guy like
When you
that.
got Murr.
Man.
Yeah, of course.
Somebody legend.
Second celebrity event, by the way, as a group.
Yeah, right. Second celebrity.
Right to it, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the plans for post-graduation now that y'all are moved on and grown-ups? Like
Right.
adults, what's the plan?
Currently in my master's, in urban regional planning at Eastern right
So
now.
that 10 times as fast.
And so I have one more quarter in the fall until I graduate with that. So hopefully I'll have time to do Glee again.
Schedule another class for 3:30 to 5:30 Tuesday.
That was in my
Thursday.
fault. That was literally.
Can you not pick? I feel like with the masters, you can still pick your classes though.
No, I can, but like a lot of the people work in the urban regional planning program, so they do classes later, so they don't have to do it like in the mornings. Anyway, yeah, that's why I didn't do Glee Club earlier because there was a class conflict.
Hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna be pissed. No, I'm kidding.
But
No pressure.
Masters at 22. It's pretty crazy.
True.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Tight.
I
Rod.
deserve it.
So I'm in the process of applying for law school. Right now I'm doing LSAC Plus, which is a program. It's in its second year. It's really cool. For first generation prospective law students. I go to Heritage University on the Yakima Nation Res, so it's really cool. Shout out. Learning about just law school, potential career paths. I'm very much interested in immigration law, so yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Very cool. I am choosing to follow my passion right now. I've obviously graduated with a bachelor's degree, but my passion has always been theater and acting, and I feel like while I'm young, I want to take this opportunity to try to pursue my passion while I can, while I have time, while I have the freedom and the ability. And so involved in some theater right now, Greece with Spokane Valley Summer Theater.
Which if you're in Spokane, you should come see it. There's still
Yeah,
one
it's
more weekend
phenomenal
of
show.
it. We've all seen it now.
So
It's
good.
phenomenal.
I'm
It's
I'm
really
having a lot of
good.
fun.
So
Go
good.
to
Like,
It's
it's
so
really good show.
bad.
5-5
Yeah, he's playing Johnny Casino, by the way.
There's a lot of very, very talented people in Spokane Valley Summer Theater. I mean, Yvonne, our director, is an amazing director, has built an amazing program, and there's some extremely, extremely talented people with really bright futures in the show. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm also doing another show with Spokane Valley Summer Theater in July called A Bright Star. It's a Steve Martin created musical, and it's also going to be an amazing show. But as for the future after that, I think I'm going to go try to pursue acting in theater at a professional level, and just kind of put my hat in the ring and work as hard as I can to make connections and audition and just see what happens, because I know that if I didn't do it now, then I would always regret it, and it really is what I love doing most in the world, and so I think right now I'll have the chance to go try to act. So
Fair.
I'm very excited about that.
Okay, the last question before my little game I have to end the end of the episode, that'll be kind of hyped to talk about, is so Taylor and I went to high school together, and I'm not gonna lie.
I'm literally
Hey, but
I'm literally right here.
yeah, you also went to Ferndale, but
I was
dude,
another,
this is
I was just
also
another brown
the
dude.
really crazy.
Good.
This is the other crazy thing is, you guys have been best friends since what? You were out of the womb practically.
No, I mean maybe
No.
early high school.
Yeah, probably like 8th grade year.
Yeah,
You
middle
guys
school.
have been good friends for a long time, and I never knew this dude existed until I kid you not a year ago.
Yeah. It's gotta be racist sometime.
Okay.
All right.
Alright.
They were in two very different spheres.
Yeah. Well, because you guys were because you were also very athletic. You were in the football. Because you also played football. That's how I think you guys knew each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew him through football, and I knew him through choir and theater. So
It was we just never had a reason to overlap.
meeting
so I
of
just
two
never knew.
worlds.
But I guess more what I was trying to target at is what is it like, I guess, for Rod to see how Taylor and I work. I don't know, it's awkward. Do you see the relation from years, or do you feel like I've changed since high school?
Okay, I'm not nothing obviously bad, but okay, I'll go very briefly.
Uh-huh.
He was the first person naturally, because I would do the same thing too. You just clinged on to when you came to GU officially, because you did. His freshman year was Zoom hybrid, so his fall freshman year he was online on Zoom.
Yeah.
The zesty Zoomers. And then spring 2021, when things slowly opened up, I met Trevor for the first time, and I was just blown away. I'm like, wow, you're the famous Trevor Bush now.
Crazy man.
Yeah,
That's a great,
and so
great
it's
guy.
and
I said, what?
It's funny.
I
I said he's a great man.
Oh, I thought you said something.
I didn't
else.
know.
What, you think he said biggest bird?
okay, but
We're gonna have to cut that.
yeah. Okay.
Anyways.
Cool. So but you guys clearly have been went to the same high school and have performed together before, and but Trev, you're doing your own thing, and Taylor's also doing his own thing too. So compliments kept complimenting each other, as you guys just became more independent, more mature. So
I would say that both of them have unwavering confidence, just because every time I see him in Glee Club.
Hey.
a counter.
It's every time I would look at Taylor or Trevor, they just know what they're doing. They're
Yes.
on their toes, and
So.
for the most part, at least Trevor, because
Thanks.
yeah. No, Trevor, he's if you, I wish there was a camera inside Glee, because this man does some emotes sometimes. It's so funny, it's he's just his own person, and it's just so funny watching Trevor. And these two have built iron sharpens iron, so it's these two have built each other up, and it's a good duo.
Yeah, we've done a lot of musicals together where we've both been the leads kind of next to each other for a number of years, and that's been really cool. I think the one thing for me is I've definitely heard your voice improve, and I'm definitely awed and inspired by that, don't get me wrong, but it's one of the things where when you're surrounded by the same voice for at that point it was 8 years?
Yeah.
It's just you don't realize the crazy amounts of improvement that go in until you see everyone else go crazy. Because I remember I came back to see our high school did a alumni show, and they hadn't seen you sing Rigadoom. They hadn't seen you sing in 3 years. And everyone I talked to was Taylor was good before he left, and now you were a Ferndale celebrity practically with the way people the community was talking about you. And it's one of those things where I was Taylor was good, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't realize that I get A, the improvement, but B, I just get the privilege to listen to you every day
Appreciate
because
that.
I stand right by you. But like, there's people who like you go back to home, and 3 years later, just like, boom,
I
just
appreciate
hitting
that.
it, and it's just like, I think it just goes to show how much you really have worked hard.
Thank you.
And it was just cool from watching that show from the audience to see how much the community really rallied behind you and your singing and your improvement from that.
Thank you.
It was like really sick.
Appreciate that. I can say the same thing for you as well. Like, even though Trevor's a year younger than me, I will never stop being amazed at how dedicated he is to music and choir and seeking knowledge in general, and how smart he is and how good of a leader he is, no matter who's around him. So obviously very inspiring to me every time that we
Why
go
are
to
you
choir.
going crazy? What is your problem?
I feel like
Just
even
be
though
authentic and you're ruining the moment.
sorry, happens a lot actually. Even though I was a senior, I was the older of the two. I still felt like Trevor was the leader of our tenor section this year, and he just stepped up and he made it really successful, and he made everyone want to be there and work hard. So I was obviously very, very, very grateful to be able to work with him and learn from him. So.
Okay, I got a game that I want to play that I think would be sick. Okay, the game is overrated or underrated. I'm gonna give a choir song from the entire time that I've been at Gonzaga.
Songs.
We're not gonna go through all of them, but I just have like some in my
Don't
head.
make it too niche.
And we're gonna go overrated. I'll explain it.
Underrated or properly
overrated,
rated.
underrated, or properly
Properly
rated.
rated,
And it'll be
yeah.
a lot of Glee stuff so that you can play. But there will be some stuff from concert choir in the past that I think will be good.
Yeah.
So I think to
Okay.
start, just to get like really easy, clean, overrated, underrated, properly rated, San Bonani.
I say proper.
Properly rated.
Yeah.
It's a great opener. I mean, it
Yeah,
just brought the
it's a good
energy.
opener.
Nobody's expecting it to be the most difficult or crazy of choir
Yeah.
song, but it's
Mhm.
fun.
It's like, this sounds so generic. It's very Glee. It's the most Glee thing I've ever heard in my life.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Trevor, you were pretty much the lead for that song. You had a very
Well, the second semester,
did
I was
mess
gonna say,
up.
next second semester,
right.
second semester we got to expand to some more people,
that was
which
probably
made
one
it
of the
more
best
fun.
songs I've seen you perform.
Second semester version, honestly,
Go.
second semester was honestly the better version of San Bonani because the first semester was literally just me and Josh doing the entire thing. But the second semester, it really felt, when we performed it again in the spring, it felt like a more collective experience because we got Griffin and August on board, and we still had we got Griffin, August, and you on board,
Yeah.
while still having homage to the original rendition of the performance. I meant solo-wise. Yes, you were there. You were there. You
Yeah.
were great. But like solo-wise, like it was just me and Josh. So to see Griffin, August, and Rod kind of step in, it really made it. It really also showed the progress that the choir has made and showed the unity while still paying homage to the original performance by having me and Josh still do little bits and pieces.
Yes.
Which
Great
is sick.
stuff. All right.
Okay, San Bonani. Misa Criolla. Underrated, properly rated, or overrated?
Overrated. Sorry. I think it's
Actually?
I think it's overrated. Yeah.
Really?
It's okay.
To clarify, Misa Criolla is a masterwork that concert choir did while we were in COVID,
Yeah.
and it's you could probably explain it better than me, but
Yeah.
it's a mass taken from music, the cultures of various different Southern and Central American countries.
I got you. No. It's from Argentina. The person who composed it, it's kind of like, yeah, it's all Argentina. It's from the different regions in
Right.
Argentina, so that it's still, but it very much is. It has diversity, like with the polyrhythms and the harmonies, even the words and the dialogue. I'm not saying like if I say overrated, I'm not saying like it was trash.
Right.
I loved it. I loved doing it, but because it was in COVID, we had to wear those stupid duckbill masks.
Because we had to compare it up against the bluegrass mass.
That too, because we can get into that. If you're
I was gonna ask that out right
That one
afterwards.
is, yeah, but the Misa Criolla and generally, and this is just my little biased opinion, but we still did really well. Like, there's reason why some of the parts, some of the, for some reason, kind of annoyed me, but some of the people in the choir were having a hard time, and I did my best to help them because they had asked for help language-wise, and also, and this was another thing too. We can all agree there's some people who believe they had just as good of a background in Spanish speaking as myself,
That's me, by the way.
No,
I
I'm
took
not,
5 years to finish
I
high school,
am
by the
not
way.
at all talking about it. No one in this apartment is the person I'm referring, or people. But that was also, just like wrong place, wrong time. Having someone try to do that. But so the music was great, but the other elements kind of, unfortunately for me, made it a little overrated.
Okay, and then really fast, but
Yeah.
the bluegrass mass.
That's gotta be
Probably rated,
One of my favorite
underrated, or
bands.
overrated.
underrated.
I would say it was highly underrated.
Yeah,
The live stream for that is still on YouTube private, and I have the link still. And I go back and listen to that to this day, because it's again another setting of a mass, but in the bluegrass style. And we did it right after the Misa Criolla, and oh my word, one of the coolest works ever done.
What's bluegrass, guys? Bluegrass.
It's bluegrass.
What's
Yeah.
A style of music developed in Appalachia, America. It changed over time, but really flourished in the early 20th century, mid 20th century, and has a lot of elements of, obviously a lot of spiritual elements, a lot of elements of different cultures that immigrated to the region, and it's very distinct, and it made for a great mass.
Okay, next one. It's so stupid. In the morning.
What?
In the morning.
Doesn't even remember that song. We did it in the fall of your junior year.
I don't remember it, so overrated.
Overrated.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, moving on.
Give me some more recent ones.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do Ad Astra.
I was waiting for
Underrated,
that.
overrated, or properly rated?
Alright, this might be a little bit of a hot take. I'm gonna say slightly overrated.
Yeah.
Ad Astra was a really fun song, but the go-to in Glee this semester, I don't think so. I think we had at least two that were better. I really liked the song, but for it to be the headliner, I didn't think I liked it as much as some of the other ones. So slightly overrated.
I mean, I don't have much singing experience, but I feel like
There's like some bassness.
Well, like,
you
it
had a good
was-
bass meter, you know?
it's a good song, but I feel like it was, I want to say basic, 'cause I feel like I don't have enough sample size to say if it was basic or not, but I feel like it was kind of easy, it was kind of simple. I feel like there was other songs, and I wanted more songs like House of the Rising Sun or like,
Yeah. That's fair.
I think even Found Tonight.
Yeah, Found
Found
Tonight.
Tonight. I mean, I
like
think
songs
that's
like
great.
those. I mean, it's a good song, but it wasn't one of my favorites.
This week the two of you, but I guess you were in the audience, you can rate it. Song of Purple Summer. Underrated, overrated, or properly rated?
I'm gonna say underrated. I think some people inquired hated that song, but
He's right here, by the way. He's right here, by the way.
It's the
Nick
That
Marrero
was-
on bass. It's
Oh,
from
yeah.
Spring Awakening again.
Clap.
I'm
No,
obviously
that
a
was
theater.
Fire Fountain.
I'm obviously a theater kid, so
Yeah.
I loved it. I was encouraged to sing out with my own voice and just belt.
Which you did.
So I had a lot of fun doing it, and I felt like I was the most animated one on stage.
That actually was just straight up true.
It was
That
fun.
Was just straight up
I just
true.
had a lot of fun doing that song, so I'm gonna say underrated.
Okay.
so proper.
Yeah, I think in reality it was underrated, and it was probably because the people like me who just kind of just made it cringe.
Couple quick hitters.
Huh?
Couple quick hitters.
What do you mean quick hit?
Like quick ones that would
Oh,
just go down.
Bach Magnificat.
Overrated. I say it's
Overrated?
Dude, we did Mozart. Sorry, that's because I'm like
I think you're just Mozart.
I'm a Mozart
You are a
stan.
Mozart
There's a Mozart
stan.
shirt. There's a
and
Mozart shirt.
I do have a Mozart shirt, and I could take it out, but like, dude, I am like, just Bach. Like, he's amazing, obviously, but I think it's overrated.
I say properly rated. Mozart's so better, but properly rated.
I actually I'm gonna say it's properly rated, but I also hate Mozart and the way he composes. That's a personal thing on me. I get that I'm a niche like that.
Hates
Yeah.
But
Mozart.
I'm not.
How about that?
I did not hate. I did not hate.
About
I
that,
enjoyed the Requiem.
I saw you smiling. Kind
I
of
smile.
like,
I'm not
oh my
I'm just saying, like, if I were to compare Mozart to Bach, Bach is better in my opinion.
You might be
And
right.
to be fair, am biased and had the privilege of singing with Kendra that duet, which is one of the coolest pieces I've ever sung in my life. It's a beautiful duet.
Bro, we had professional soloists for the Requiem.
We did it. The Welcome to Singing with the Symphony.
I love
Ooh.
Kendra, but we had some.
I think the other thing
Yeah,
is
we
like,
had
I sang.
bass, tuba, dude. You know what I mean?
Black dude?
Yeah, black dude.
Okay, two more. Found Tonight.
Underrated.
Underrated.
I loved singing it,
Yeah.
especially like that was a song where I felt like we connected most among each other.
What makes you say underrated though? Was it properly rated then?
It was probably my favorite song that we did. Second
Maybe
favorite
it's
song.
overshadowed by Conspiracy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
It could have gone in a separate concert. I mean, we had so many great songs in that concert. It could have headlined another one. It was a really fun song to sing.
Okay, actually, lad, we're gonna do two more starting now.
Okay, two more.
Widerspruch. Underrated, overrated,
Overrated
properly
as
rated.
well.
That's why I wanted to say that. That's why I wanted to say that. I was like, I don't know what the answer's gonna be.
Genuinely, I don't know. I mean,
Involved better.
we were, if anything, it was supposed to be just like the glue to, that underlying, the rhythms and the dynamics. That's what made the song not boring as hell. It was still boring, but like the dynamics.
All right, I will say
At
this.
least someone he thought it was boring. Someone
Sorry.
that was boring, by the way. That was boring, by the way.
When you're singing The Longest Time and Found Tonight,
Yeah.
next to Widerspruch, it's like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
I never learned the words. Shaking the whole time. And so I got away with it, but I just kind of like down to the side.
Okay.
All right, last one. Of course, you know what's gonna be overrated, underrated, properly rated, longest time.
That's probably one of the
Proper?
best
Yeah, it's
performances.
gotta be
Properly rated.
It's Billy Joel. Can't go wrong.
Good solos.
Yeah.
Good energy.
Yeah.
Feel the shots.
Selfishly.
Oh, that's right. We had the fancy schmancy. Actually, it's not fancy at all.
Yeah.
The
Selfishly,
Greasy
it
Socks
has
was
to
cool.
be one of my favorite songs I've sang in choir.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it was awesome.
Fair.
Yeah.
And with that is thank you so much for being on, you alums / fake alum. Maybe alum.
He's an alum.
Maybe alum. Well, maybe alum because you might come back.
Yeah.
There's like a chance to come back. There's also a chance you won't come back.
They signed me to a contract. So.
It's not about it.
But thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Totally did not procrastinate to the last minute. Totally not a college kid. We're playing this. It's coming out on Saturday. It's coming out on Sunday, technically, still. But thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you back next Sunday. Also, if you're in Spokane, University High School, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday matinee.
Yep.
See this
Come
right
see
here?
this band
Johnny
in Greece.
Casino.
Come see
Johnny
Taylor
Johnny
Grease.
Casino.
And
Bright Star.
2 middle weeks in July, Bright Star. Come see that as well.
Yeah. So phenomenal. If you want to see Taylor do his theater action, which he says he's all passionate about,
Yep.
that's the place to do it. And we all on this
guitar like
couch have
this.
seen Grease, and it was absolutely phenomenal. It was
Like
such.
Everyone's goaded.
Everyone's goated because it's semi-professional theater. It's just such a good show.
Tell me what you think about the 5'5" demigod dude.
He's based. Is he gonna be in Spokane?
Evan, no, he goes to college.
Where?
Nebraska, I believe.
Oh, okay.
They like Nebraska.
No, in Nebraska,
Oh, okay.
I
Like
think.
Nebraska.
But yeah, phenomenal talent.
Cool.
So much talent, so much passion up there on stage. So
Yeah.
great show.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week where we're back on Discord with some of the other Glee members. And yeah, bye. Thanks for
Thanks, Trev.
listening. Bye.
Thanks, Trev.
Yeah.